Hello everyone, super excited to have you here today for this presentation, which will teach you how to automate your sales in Facebook Messenger. Obviously, right before us, we have an incredible opportunity, which is automating your inbox and obviously sales in Messenger. It's a super popular platform all around the world. And in this presentation, I want to show you how you can use Chatfuel in your Facebook inbox to maximize your business results and deliver incredible results either for yourself if you're a business owner or for your clients if you are a marketing agency. So let's get started here. Before I do get started, I want to just give you a brief background on myself, or just a quick intro rather. My name is Andrew Demeter, and I am the social media manager here at Chatfuel. So I put on webinars like this one to help educate our users and customers on how they can use Chatfuel, like I said, to its fullest potential. And yes, that is a picture of me on an inflatable swan. So I also want to let you know that at the end of this webinar, and I'll show you more about the agenda here in just a second, but at the end of this webinar, we do have a very special offer for you. So stay tuned until the end to take advantage of that. Now, like I said, here's the agenda. It's very simple. First, I'm going to briefly discuss different success stories of our top users on the Chatfuel platform, basically showing you the business results, the impressive business results they've been able to achieve using Chatfuel. And these are across all sorts of different niches, whether it's e-commerce, a university who's trying to enroll more students, whether it is, a multinational corporation, et cetera. So more on that in a second, but first I want to show you the results that you can achieve, and you can apply the same practices to your business to achieve these impressive results. Next, we're actually going to get hands-on into the Chatfuel platform and show you how these successful bots were actually built. And you'll probably be surprised that it's a lot simpler than you might originally think if you haven't gone in and actually used Chatfuel yet. After that, we will open it up for questions. Of course, throughout the presentation as well, you can use the dedicated Q&A panel in Zoom to ask your questions. I'll get to those at the end of the presentation, and obviously you can ask those throughout, but I'll answer them all at the end. So that's the agenda. Really excited to get started, and we will begin here with the success stories. There's 4 of these, and then, like I said, we'll dive into the actual building process to get hands-on. So the first one here is a company named Beauty Player. This is an e-commerce company in Taiwan, and they are a cosmetics brand. So the product that they're selling is face masks. And they have a number of different products, a number of different face masks. And what this chatbot does is it will recommend products to the end user based on different questions that they answer. So essentially, this bot will automatically determine who the user is, what their needs are, qualify them, and then recommend a relevant product. And I'll show you more on that in a second. A great example is it'll ask the question, is your skin oily? Is it dry, etc.? And then based on that answer, it'll very simply recommend a product where they can then purchase it from Messenger. Now, the results they were able to achieve, that Beauty Player was able to achieve, was over $250,000 in sales per month using Chatfuel. Now, I should be clear, this is sales generated and attributed directly to Chatfuel. This isn't people, their total sales on their website. This is exclusively from Chatfuel, what they were able to deliver. In addition to that, they ran Facebook ads for these campaigns, and they were able to reduce their cost per acquisition by 50%. And what that looks like in actual numbers, I believe is originally it was like $8. They had to spend $8 to get a new customer. And using Chatfuel, using these messenger ads on Facebook, they were able to reduce that to around $4. So obviously pretty impressive stuff there. And on top of that, they were able to achieve a 10 times return on ad spend, again, using Chatfuel and combining that with the power of messenger ads on Facebook. And more on how they were able to achieve this impressive return on ad spend later when we discuss the People tab in the next stage of this presentation. Next is Leeds Beckett University. So this is a university, a college in the UK, and they have this process every year. It's a process that applies to most colleges, I believe, in the UK, and it's called clearing. So every year, basically, if you are a student and you apply to a college, but you get rejected from that college, you don't get accepted, what that college will do is basically it wants to optimize the seats, the empty course seats in its classes. So what they will do is after all the other students are accepted, they will offer empty course seats through this process called clearing to rejected applicants to boost enrollment. So basically what Leeds Beckett did here is they automated this whole process that is traditionally done over the phone to qualify these students and show them the classes available. So they automated this entirely in the bot using Chatfuel. From that, in this one-day campaign that they ran called Clearing Day, they were able to generate over $3.1 million in sales. And this is approximately double the close rate of their call center. I believe their call center's typical close rate is around 25%. And with the messenger bot, because it's instantaneous, there's no wait time on the phone, they were able to double that to around 45 or 50%. Next is Decenwabel's Infantile. So this is a smaller scale business based in Mexico, and the primary use case for their chatbot, their virtual assistant on Messenger, is automating their frequently asked questions. So obviously it's an e-commerce brand. They get a lot of, what's the price of this product? How long does shipping take? Do you ship here, etc.? And they use Chatfuel to automate all those questions. So no matter what time somebody is asking that question, even if the business owner or their team are sleeping, they have that ability to instantly not only answer that question, but then also redirect them to relevant information. So how much is the price of this product? This is the answer, and then it can redirect them to the website where they can actually purchase that. The statistic isn't on the screen here, but Decenwabel's Infantiles is now generating over 80% of their sales through Messenger, even though they do have a website. They, using Chatfuel and using Messenger, were able to double their average sales because typically they only sell at expos, product expos throughout the year. And on top of this, and I'm really excited to show you how this works later, they were able to capture over 4,000 qualified leads with one campaign. Basically, it's called comment acquisition, and you can have the bot automatically respond to users and privately message them when they comment on a certain post. More on that later, but really exciting stuff that you will love to see. Finally, here we have Lego. Obviously, I'm sure this is a brand you've heard of before. Similar to Beauty Player, this is a product recommendation chatbot. So basically, the user goes into the bot, they answer a series of questions, and then it recommends a product for them. For example, it'll ask, how old is the person who you're shopping for? It'll give them suggested age ranges. It'll ask, what's your budget? What country are you from? To show the relevant products for that user. Obviously, in terms of results here, they were able to achieve a 6 times return on ad spend, and they reduced their normal cost per acquisition with Facebook ads by 31%. So needless to say, they were pretty happy with the results they were able to achieve. And I'll show you the specific process involved for connecting your Chatfuel bot to Messenger ads later in the presentation. Now let's actually hop into the build process, because that's the big mystery behind this, right? You see all these beautiful results and you see all these cool figures and you're like, okay, well, how does this actually work, right? What's the magic behind it? So I'm gonna switch tabs here and go into Chatfuel and show you how all of this works. All right, so here we are, and hopefully you don't see this bar up here, my Zoom control panel. I don't think you will. But anyway, let's get started. So I'm going to go through these case studies one by one that I just presented to you, and we'll show a basic way to build out and replicate what these different brands and businesses were able to achieve. So first, let's start off with Beauty Player. Just as a refresher, this was the product recommendation bot where the user goes in based on their sort of skin condition, it'll recommend a product to them. So let's click here, and these are just called groups, by the way. I've created a group for each of these case studies just to keep things organized. And let's call this welcome. This is just the name of the block. Obviously, it's all internal. The user won't see this. And let's start by asking a question with this text card. So let's say hi, and we'll type in these 2 open brackets to greet the user based on their first name. These purple attributes, as they're called, come from the user's Facebook profile, so we can help personalize the conversation. So we'll say, hi, first name. What is your skin condition? Even though it's not quite a condition, we'll just go with that. So hi, first name, what's your skin condition? And then we'll use quick replies here, which are basically buttons to give the user different options for what they can choose. And these quick replies, you can think of them like multiple choice questions, suggesting different responses for the user to choose. So we'll say dry or oily. We'll give the user those two options, and then we'll save this to a user attribute. So we want to basically use this data to segment users for future retargeting. So I'm going to click this, and we'll call it skin condition. Pretty simple. So what's your skin condition? We'll ask them that. And then based on their choice, we want to recommend a different product to them. So first, let's click here and we'll connect this to a different block. You can think of a block like a different page on a website. We're connecting them to different content. And by the way, I'll show how this actually appears to the user in just a moment. So let's call this dry skin face mask. And we'll connect it to that block. And then conversely, let me create this one first. And then we'll call this oily skin face mask. So pretty simple so far. We're just giving the user two options and then directing them to different content accordingly. So first, let's build out this dry skin one. And for this, I'll use a gallery card. Now, gallery cards are really useful for showcasing products because they're very visual. They allow you to use images, headlines, and link out to another website with a button. So let's add an image here first. And let's add this first product. And we'll do horizontal orientation. And perfect. So we'll use that image for this product. And then I'll add in a quick headline and description. We'll call this moisturizing face mask, for example. And we'll say, this helps moisturize your skin in 60 seconds. Let's simplify that. There we go. And then we'll want to include a button here where they can click to order. So we'll click like shop now or order now, and we'll include a URL here as well. So let's say beautyplayer.com/dry skin mask. So pretty simple setup that we have here, right? And then I'm going to clone this or duplicate this block right here, and we'll do the same for the oily skin one, just to kind of use that as a template. So let me delete this block that I created earlier, and let's call this oily skin face mask. Okay, and let's speed this up a little. We'll choose this different product image, and we'll call this oil extracting face mask. Remove any oil from your skin in seconds. Great, and then I can change the URL here, like oily skin mask, for example. Great, so I have a very simple flow set up. Let's also reconnect this button since I deleted that block, oily skin face mask. Perfect. So that's really all that you need to do. I'm going to test this real quick and show you what it looks like on the user side of things. So let's click here to get a specific link to this block. And then I will paste that in my browser here. And you'll see what this looks like for the actual user. So I'll click Get Started. Once I do that, what's your skin condition? I'll say it is oily. Once I do that, it recommends the product and image for me. I can then click Shop Now, and we're good to go. It'll redirect me to that website where I can purchase the product. Now, you probably have a couple of questions here, and before I get to those, I want to show you a couple other things that you can do that Beauty Player also did to achieve those results that I mentioned a couple seconds ago. So the first thing is using this segmentation to retarget users. So since I selected oily, if I go to the broadcast tab here, which will allow me to send a mass message to all users or a specific segment of users, I can either deliver my message now or schedule it for later. Let's click Deliver Now. And what I can do then is filter users based on the segmentation, the tags that we've set up for them. So I can say, if skin condition is oily, and you see there's one user, meaning me, who matches that, then I can send a follow-up message saying, and if you're sending any promotional content, you want to use this update tag. So that's important to note to comply with Facebook policies. But then I could send a follow-up message, maybe 1 month down the road when we come out with a new product for people who have oily skin. We could then send that message saying, we just released a new product. Click below to check it out. Obviously, I'm just making this short and basic for sake of time. You want to be more creative, but this is an example of how you could then retarget those users who fit that specific segment. Now, one other thing that I want to show you here, and I'm going to delete this first. One other thing that I want to show you here really quickly before moving on to the next one is the People tab. So this is extremely powerful. It's like a mini CRM in your Chatfuel dashboard that will allow you to see all the users who have interacted and all the segmentation info that they have. So for example, if I click on Violetta here, I can see all of these different attributes and information about her. For example, the last button that she clicked, what her gender is, that comes from Facebook by default, her time zone, where she came from in terms of user acquisition, her language, etc. So I have all this data, and then I can filter based off of this. So a really useful feature of the People tab is the ability to export this data and also create lookalike audiences on Facebook ads. So for example, I could say, if skin condition is oily, meaning I'm going to be the only user who matches that, and maybe I add another attribute, I create one that signifies if they're a customer or not, meaning they've purchased something, I could then filter out all these qualified users who fit that segment, who are very valuable to me. I could then click export here. It'll export all that data, like I said, as a CSV file. I can then run that through Facebook ads, which is what Beauty Player did to really reduce their cost per conversion, increase their relevance score, and obviously get better return on ad spend. So that's just a really brief overview of the People tab, but it's extremely powerful. As you saw, Beauty Player was able to achieve a 10 times return on ad spend using it. So that is all for Beauty Player. Next, let's go on to Leeds Beckett University here. So the main use of their bot, like I mentioned, was using it for lead qualification to basically have the bot automate this process and disqualify people who obviously aren't qualified, to not waste any human resources or time on those users. So let's build out a sample flow here. We'll call this like start enrollment, for example. Or let's say start application maybe. Okay, so the first question, one of Leeds Beckett's qualifying criteria was if the user is a UK resident or not. I believe if they're not a UK resident, they don't apply for clearing, and we're going to disqualify them. So let's start with that. Let's create a text card here, and let's say, are you a UK resident? And then, like I said, the use of quick replies is for suggested answers. Think of it like a multiple choice question. So we'll use this and we'll say yes, and then we'll say no. And something that I want to add here really quickly as well, because I really love visuals and think it adds a lot to the chatbot experience, is emojis. So real quickly, just at the beginning, I'll add a check mark here as a visual cue for yes. And then I'll also add a red X here at the beginning for no. And by the way, to bring this up on a Windows computer, which I'm using, I just press the Windows key and semicolon at the same time. So are you a UK resident? Yes or no? If they click yes, we will, that means they continue to qualify, so we'll let them continue down the flow. If they say no, we're going to disqualify them. So let me connect this to a block. We'll call it disqualified not resident, for example. So let me create that block and connect that, and I'll say, sorry. Again, I'll do the two open brackets and use the user's first name to personalize. You must be a UK resident to qualify for clearing. So we'll just give them a simple rejection message like that. And then if they are a UK resident, we'll just continue adding the next questions down here. So the next one that Leeds Beckett asks to users is, how many UCAS points do you have? Now, for those not familiar with UCAS, basically it's a system in the UK related to grading. So it's kind of like a grade point average system in the US where each grade that you get corresponds to a numerical value. So I'll go here to add what's called a user input plugin. And in contrast to the quick replies here, the user input plugin is when you want to ask the user a question where you don't have those multiple choice or suggested answers. You just let the user type in whatever they want. So although we could use quick replies, let's just stick with the user input plugin for this case. So we'll say, how many UCAS points do you have? And then we'll save this, save whatever answer they provide to, we'll call it just UCAS points, keeping it simple. So then you're probably asking, well, then how do we determine, how people qualify based on that number they provide. So for that, we're going to use what's called a go-to block here. And this will basically route the user to different content based on the response that they've given us. So put simply, if they have below a certain number of points, we're going to say, hey, you're disqualified. If they have above a certain number, we will let them qualify and continue. So let's add a filter here. We'll enter UCAS points, the value that we created right up here. And we'll say if UCAS points is, let's say, below 300, then we will redirect them to a block saying they're disqualified. And then if not, we'll just help them continue answering the next questions. So let's say disqualified, we'll say like insufficient UCAS points. And we'll create that block, and then let's add the message here. Sorry, first name, you don't have enough UCAS points. Perfect. So super simple. And then, so again, if this condition is true, it's going to redirect them here and stop the flow. If this is not true, then we'll have them continue answering the remaining questions, which in this case, we'll create a very simplified version. We'll just ask, what's your email address as the last question. And to do that, we'll click the plus button here again to access more plugins, and we'll use the user email plugin right here. Now, this is really exciting. It's a very frictionless way to capture user information, particularly if you're doing lead generation, because the way this works is when you sign up for a Facebook account, you have to enter an email address to log in. So what Facebook will do here is suggest the user's email as a button, so they can easily just tap that and submit their email. Whereas, typically, otherwise, they would have to manually type that in, which is kind of tedious. So this is a very efficient way to do this, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So let's save this to email, and then that's pretty much it. So let's just add a thank you message here as a final step. Thanks, you've qualified for clearing. Someone from our admissions team will contact you shortly. We'll just add a return there to make it more visually appealing. So that's pretty much it. And I want to test this for you really quickly and then show you one final thing here before we move on. So let me test and show you what this looks like. And actually, let me delete this previous conversation just so you don't get anything confused. All right, so let me move back here and click Get Started. Okay, so are you a UK resident? I'll say yes, so I continue to qualify. How many UCAS points? It has to be above 300, so let's say like 350. And then here you see the beauty of this one-click lead capture. It says, please share your email address. I can either click this, or if I want to use a business email or something more professional, I can just freely type that in. But let's use this email that populates by default. And then it says, thanks, you've qualified for clearing. So the last component that's really important to mention here is the send email plugin. So basically, what we want to do is only alert the admissions team or somebody at your business, to use that analogy, if a lead is qualified. So in this case, what we want to do is click the plus button here again and select this send email plugin. And let me actually go to full screen again. So then basically what we'll do is only if the user qualifies, only if they're a valuable lead, we're going to notify the admissions team. So we'll just construct a basic email here to send to them. Let's say qualified student. We'll actually start it with their last name to make like a unique subject line that's easily searchable. Qualified student. And then we can add one email address, or we can send it to multiple people on the team. So I could use 2 email addresses here. And then let's add in the body of the email all the information that they've provided, such as their email address and UCAS points. So first, let's say name. Then let's do email. And let's do UCAS points here as well. So let's just fill these in with the attributes that we created. We'll do first name and last name. Again, these come from Facebook. No need to ask users for them. We'll type in email. And then finally, we'll type in UCAS points. So there we go. Now, again, the way this will work is if they get disqualified at any of the steps here, if they're not a UK resident, if they don't have enough UCAS points, we're just gonna, get rid of them essentially. And then if they do qualify, if they get all the way to the end here, then we can, spend human resources, spend valuable time from people on our team, finishing the process, closing up the paperwork, and any of that sort of stuff. So that is all that I wanted to cover there. Now let's move on to Deason Weibel's infantiles. So Deason Weibel's, basically the key component of Chatfuel that they used is the frequently asked questions automation. So for that, honestly, the majority of this doesn't actually take place in blocks, although it will, as I can show you in a second, but it really takes place in the Setup AI tab here. Now, this is really simple to use. The way that it works is on the left-hand side here, you type in keywords or phrases that you expect the user to enter. So basically, frequently asked questions that you expect them to type in here. And then on the right, you can respond with just basic text, or you can redirect them to a block where you can use more feature-rich content like images, videos, the go-to block logic that I showed you, buttons, etc. So let me show you an example here to help make it less abstract. So let's say that one of Deason Weibel's frequently asked questions that they get in their Facebook inbox is questions about shipping. So let's say, shipping, how long, or let's say like time of delivery, number of business days for shipping, will it arrive in time, etc. So basically all these different types of questions. Another one could be like international shipping, where do you ship? Obviously the list goes on, and you have a better idea of this when you actually look at your existing messages in your inbox. And then, like I said, we have two options here. We could very simply just respond with a basic text message like, our shipping normally takes 3 to 5 business days. We only ship nationally within Mexico. So you could just basically respond with that in a very simple way. Or if you want to get more advanced, which I would suggest, then you can link to a block here. So let's create a new block for Deason Weibel's, and let's call it FAQ shipping. So let's create that block. And then I'll double click it here to take me to that block in the dashboard. And then let me drag this in this group here. So then here we could add some more detailed information. Like let's click here and say, let me think of a good example here. Let's say our shipping normally takes 3 to 5 business days. Do you live in Mexico, for example? So then, if we wanted to qualify users instead of just giving them a bunch of information at once and overwhelming them, then we could kind of tailor it and personalize it a little bit more, asking a question like this. So if they say yes, and we could use the, actually, no, we can't use the Mexican flag because it's not listed in the emojis here. So we could say, do you live in Mexico? If they say yes, then we could provide them, Mexico-specific information. Or if they say no, then let's say shipping outside Mexico. And so then if they live outside Mexico, we could say, sorry, we don't ship outside of Mexico. Versus if they say that they do live in there, then we can provide them, different shipping information that's kind of more relevant to them. Now, the other key component, as promised, of Deason Weibel's, in addition to the AI, is the acquire users from comments feature. Now, this is available in the Grow tab here, acquire users from comments, and I'll show you the basic, setup here. So before I actually show you that, though, I want to show you what this post looks like in the real world. So I have it open here. This is a post that Deason Weibel's created on their business Facebook page. And what they did here is, to my understanding, I know I had to translate a little bit, but my understanding here is that they created this post where they asked expectant mothers to comment, and the key here is commenting, the month that they expect their baby to be born. So that's exactly what they did. As you see here, they got tons of engagement on this post. And all these users are commenting, hey, I expect the baby to be born in this month. And then any user who comments here is then captured in Messenger as a lead. So like I said, they were able to capture over 4,000 qualified leads using this strategy. It was extremely effective, and it's super simple to set up. So let me go back into Chatfuel here and show you how it works. So it's available, again, through the Grow tab here, acquire users from comments. And all you have to do is click Add Rule here. And let's call this giveaway campaign, because if I didn't mention it, this was a giveaway. They picked a winner to receive a free crib at the end of the campaign. So that's the incentive for driving all this engagement. And then we want to do, in this case, track comments under a specific post. And then we just need to get the timestamp for this post. So to do that, you just click the February 1 link here. It'll give you the URL to the post, which in this case is just above right here. And then we will paste that in here. Obviously, for this to work, you do need the bot to be connected to the same page that you're linking to here. And then we can choose to reply to all comments on the post, which, depending on your campaign, I may or may not recommend. And then, or you could do comments matching a certain rule. So for example, if they respond saying they expect their baby to be born in June, then you could respond with different content, put them on a different nurture sequence that in June, when they're actually due, sends them a reminder saying, hey, if you haven't gotten a crib yet, you know, hey, here's a special offer that we're giving you, etc. But in this case, let's just say we want to have the bot respond to all comments, and we can reply with a certain message. So let's say, thanks for the giveaway. You can just keep that, really. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. All right, so apologies for the interruption there, but let's finish up here with Lego and show you how they created a very successful bot that was able to deliver the results that I mentioned from earlier. And then we'll finally open it up for any Q&A. And then, of course, I will get to the special offer as well. So as far as Lego is concerned, the main component of the bot that they used, in addition to the product recommendation, was running Facebook ads. And that's a very common question that we see at Chatfuel is, how do I run Facebook ads to my chatbot? So in this part of the presentation, I'm going to show you exactly that. So let's actually move over into Ads Manager here. And let's create a campaign. So I'm going to show you this process. And of course, you can rewatch this later, but I'm going to go through it a little bit quickly, but still give you enough context to make sense of this. So for the consideration, you can experiment with some different ones here, either traffic or messages. I prefer messages though, because it's kind of more tailored for chatbots. Then we'll click continue. At this point, you will want to confirm that click to messenger is selected. It should be by default. Obviously, you can select any sort of targeting here. I'm going to skip over that though, because this is just how to set up the messenger ads, not a tutorial on Facebook ads and targeting. Then you want to scroll down to placements, click edit placements. Once you're here, although you can run messenger destination ads on Instagram, I don't recommend it because it creates a bad user experience. You have to close out of Instagram, open up Messenger, and I just don't recommend it, but always split test. So I'm going to deselect that. Then we'll scroll down. Obviously, budget and schedule is totally up to you. I'm not going to cover that here. Then the next step here in a second is to, so under identity, this is super important. So you always need to make sure that you're running the ads that you're running. You have to make sure that you're running those from the same Facebook page that the bot is connected to. And an easy indication to make sure everything's in line there is going into Chatfuel and seeing what your profile picture is here, and then making sure that matches in the page that you use. So in this case, obviously they don't match. This is a headshot over here, picture of me on a swan here. So let's move out and select the correct page. So Andrew's demo bot. And then we can choose our format. I'll just keep it single image for simplicity. And let's use this image. Great. So we have that all set up. Now we can obviously edit our creative. I'm not going to go into that though. And we have a couple different options. So for the call to action button, obviously you can choose any of these. That's just a creative decision. No, they all function the same way. But the key here is scrolling all the way down into Messenger setup. And you want to choose create your own welcome experience. And this will allow us to not just use Facebook's default welcome experience here, but actually connect it to Chatfuel. And more on why that's important in a second. So then we want to use custom template. And we'll click Get Started right here. So I know this might seem a little intimidating at first, but it's really not that bad. So if I scroll down here, you'll see the Messenger preview. And this is how it's set up by default. Obviously, we don't want like all these questions. We just want to keep it simple. So let's scroll up here. And let's say for this Lego campaign, kind of like what Lego actually did, for the first message here, once they click on that call to action button in their newsfeed, we want to ask them, okay, how old is the person you're shopping for? Is that first qualifying question? So let's do just that. And you see on Facebook too, just like in Chatfuel, we can use the person's first name. So we'll say, hi, Andrew, how old is the person you're shopping for? All right, so we have that set. And then we want to scroll down and get rid of these frequently asked questions, these suggested responses by Facebook. So we'll click remove. And then we want to choose quick replies. Again, just like we used in Chatfuel to ask a multiple choice question. And then what we want to do is basically provide the user, or suggest the user with some different date ranges, such as 2 to 5, 6 to 13, etc., in terms of years old. So let's click connect your bot here. And for this, let's say, what did I say? 2 to 5 years old. And then we'll add another quick reply. And let's do the same thing, but let's say 6 to 12 years old. I think those are the date ranges that I have set up here. And then to basically what we want to do is, currently the way that it's set up is once the user selects an option, it's just going to stop the conversation there. What we need to do is actually connect it to Chatfuel to continue the conversation. So let's actually head back into Chatfuel here, and under Lego, let's create 2 new blocks that correspond to each of these age categories. So we'll call this 2 to 5, and let's make this one 6 to 12. So what we will do then is once they select that age, obviously we could make it more complex, but we're just going to simply recommend a product based on that general age range that they've provided. So now in Chatfuel, all that we have to do, or in Ads Manager rather, all that we have to do is type in a very simple line of code, even though it's not really code, it's super basic. So we type in block, space name, all lowercase, colon, and then we use the name of this block in Chatfuel, in this case 2-5. So we'll do that. And then the same down here. So what this is doing is connecting these buttons in the ad to the block in Chatfuel once again. So now let's just add some quick content here in each of these blocks. Let's add the gallery card as I showed earlier, and let's add a product here. And let's choose square as the cropping. And let's crop it like this. Great, and then let's do the same for 6 to 12 over here. We'll choose this different image. Let's use square and crop this one as well. Oops. All right, I'm having a little bit of trouble here. There we go. All right, and then let's center it. Perfect. So I know currently it's probably still a little abstract, but I'll show you what this looks like on the user side of things in just a second. So let's just add a quick headline and button to buy here. Let's call this like cars Lego set, or let's call it Lego kit. Not that it makes a massive difference. And then let's say order now, add a URL that goes to like lego.com/cars kit. And then let's do the same over here. Let's call this beach Lego kit and order now, lego.com/beach kit. Perfect. So let me test this out and show you again what it looks like for the end user here. So let's do preview in Messenger. And just to give some context, this is what the user will see after clicking that call to action button in the ad that they see in their news feed. So how old is the person you're shopping for? I'll say 6 to 12. And once I click that, it will then display the product for me. Obviously, I'm not using the highest quality images. That's why it's a little pixelated. And then I can click order now, and it will redirect me accordingly. So even though I'm not showing a whole ton of built-in bot functionality and features, it's kind of just like a basic Facebook ad that would traditionally go to a website. But what we've seen is that because when you're running ads with a messenger destination, you're keeping people in the Facebook ecosystem, you're also able to achieve, you're able to get better results for less money because it's giving Facebook more opportunities to monetize since people are staying on the platform as opposed to leaving their site and going elsewhere. So that's basically how Lego did it with their product recommendation chatbot, specifically in context of Facebook ads. And that is pretty much that. So that's what I wanted to cover with all these different case studies and sort of building out these basic processes. So now I'm going to switch over and open it up to some Q&A here. There we go. So let me open it up for some Q&A, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. And since our last session got interrupted, I know there was one message in the chat, but I don't see it anymore. So if you have any questions, please open up either the chat or the dedicated Q&A panel, and I will be happy to answer those. What advantage do we get with the Pro plan? Okay, so let me switch over into the dashboard again here and show you kind of the ins and outs of Pro a little bit. So in Chatfuel by default, you can use the free plan that has a limit of 5,000 users, so 5,000 unique individuals who can interact with your bot. And then also on the free plan, you have what we call Chatfuel branding in the welcome message here. So the welcome message is the very first message that users will see when they enter the bot, with the exception of Facebook ads. And think of it like the homepage for your bot, really. And so in this welcome message, users will see a message that says, this bot was built on Chatfuel, use the free version, etc. So that's the free plan. It is worth noting, though, that the free plan has unlimited features, so there's no restrictions besides the users and the branding and the welcome message. You have access to all these other features. But the main selling point of the People tab, in addition to removing that branding, getting unlimited users, is the People tab here. So the People tab, as I mentioned, it's kind of like a miniature CRM in your chatbot. It's super effective for, I would say the key use case of it is exporting the user data in your bot. So particularly for custom and lookalike audiences in Facebook ads, that's one of the most powerful uses of it. But you also have the ability to go in and, as I showed, edit user attributes. So say somebody, like in the Lego example, say somebody interacts with the bot on Messenger, they see the product, and then they go to the product page on Lego's website and purchase that. There's no way to really like cross-reference that user and their activity on the site since it's separate. So what you could do is, say Mira here goes, interacts with the Lego chatbot, then goes to the website later and buys that product. What I could do here is add an attribute that says, for example, customer, and I could say customer is true. And then what this would allow me to do is, manually go back later and filter, say, okay, I want to see, it does take a minute for these attributes to update, but I could say, I want to see everybody who's a paying customer in my bot, and then export an audience of that and use it with Facebook ads. So that's one really powerful feature of the People tab. Or the Pro plan rather. Another big one is priority email support. So typically we respond to Pro customers the same business day, which is obviously a highly requested thing. Everybody hates usually interacting with customer support that's slow. So we try to be better than that and give priority support to our paying customers. And also in the People tab, you have the ability to create custom segments of users. So if you want to, for example, see all users who came in from ads, you could easily filter that and look at any data, analyze any trends that would be useful to you, and see different data there. So I would say those are the main features of the Pro plan and why you should upgrade. Again, the People tab, the ability to see that customer data, ability to export custom and lookalike audiences, get priority support, of course, remove the branding, and also have these user segments if you are using any sort of complex combinations for user information. So that is pretty much it. Since we don't have any other questions and we only have a couple minutes left here, I'd like to discuss briefly the special offer here. So let me go to one of these last slides here. And so here's our offer. If you upgrade to Pro today, or in the next couple days. We're not going to be super strict about it. But if you upgrade to Pro and email me, Demeter@chatfuel.com, as you see at the bottom of the slide here, your receipt for upgrading, we will offer you half off our one-on-one strategy sessions. So these are consulting sessions where I will sit down with you virtually and help you build a bot from scratch. Obviously, these are 1-hour sessions, so I'm not going to, build everything for you, but I can guide you through the process, help you understand the best practices for Messenger, kind of adapt your existing sales funnel to Messenger, and basically help guide you through the process of using Chatfuel to its fullest advantage to ultimately help you deliver meaningful business results, like I showed you at the beginning of this presentation with the 4 case studies. So that's kind of our goal. We want to help new users, especially who are really struggling to understand what they can do with Messenger, help them, understand what they can do with Chatfuel and deliver those business results. So again, if you upgrade to Pro either today or within the next couple of days and email me your receipt, I will then send you a link where you can schedule one of these strategy sessions for half off. Again, these are hour-long one-on-one strategy sessions where I will guide you through the process of setting up your bot and help get the ball rolling on that. So I'll keep this on the screen for just another moment here so you can take any notes that you need to. We will be sending a recording of this webinar, though, to all the registrants. So that's the offer. I'd be super excited to chat with you guys and help you learn how you can use Messenger, and I look forward to it. All right, Joe, he says, let's say I get 10,000 ad responses that land users in Messenger. How do the handoffs and user experiences in Chatfuel get charged? What would be cost per 10,000, for example? So Joe, that's a really good question. Typically, and this isn't a hard and fast rule because our pricing really does fluctuate, but because as you grow your user base, we do be more reasonable and give you a lower cost per user. But if you're looking for a general estimate, the cost is usually 0.006 per user. So obviously multiply that by however many users you expect. But if you've also never used a bot before on your page, we do also offer special flat pricing because a lot of users in the past have requested hey, I am working with a big client, or maybe I have a big business myself, and we've never used a bot. We were worried that we might go from 0 subscribers to 150,000 in the first week. Does that mean I have to pay some massive amount of money? So because of that, we're willing to help you sort of take on some risk and make the cost more predictable. So if that's something that you're concerned about, you can just email me, again, Demeter@chatfuel.com, and we can discuss that. But again, remember too that if, say, the same user is responding to the same ad a couple times, that's only counted as one user because it is per unique user who interacts with your bot. So hopefully that helps clarify. All right. Cool. Yeah, you're welcome, Joe. Great. So I am going to just open up the last slide here, and thank you guys for joining. So thanks again for your attention, for everybody sticking around till the end here. Again, take advantage of that special offer. I'd love to sit down with you and help you get started and get those impressive results. We are always looking for more case studies too. So hey, maybe you could be the next one that we show in these presentations. Anyway, thanks so much for sticking around. Hopefully you got some value out of this, and we'll start building awesome sales automation processes on Messenger. We hope to hear from you soon. Take care and happy botting.